Right, the countdown. Here we go. The top 10 stories of 2022. These are the stories that you clicked on, the most read articles here at driven.co.nz. So let's get into the countdown. Number 10 on the list, the ultimate PHEV guide. Every plug-in hybrid electric car and SUV you can buy in New Zealand.
Yeah, so we have a rolling kind of guide to BEVs, PHEVs and HEVs, hybrid electrified vehicles. And it's always up to date, so this is just a bit of a plug. If you're actually interested in buying an electrified car of any kind, go to driven.co.nz and look up our ultimate guides. But the PHEV is obvious. The PHEV guide has been the top rated one for the year, which is kind of interesting because PHEVs are outsold by hybrids and BEVs in New Zealand. So there's obviously, that's what people choose to buy, but there's obviously a lot of interest in PHEVs. That's why more people have read this guide than any of the others. I guess because it's a good middle ground PHEV, isn't it? Like you get
As you always say.
Yeah, I know. I always say it's the ideal thing, which I don't say. It's got every single brand new PHEV that you can buy in New Zealand with specs and guides and pictures and things. So go have a look.
I suppose actually out of all three, the PHEV is the most misunderstood.
Yes.
So people are probably still confused by them. So.
Yeah.
It's a compromise though, isn't it?
Because it's a plug-in. Yeah, you plug it in, but it's also got a combustion
It's the
engine.
best of both worlds, Sam.
I guess so. Number 9, here are some of the cheapest petrol stations in New Zealand. That was from June.
Yeah, we did this in June, and it's fascinating just to see how the prices fluctuate up and down, and that was a particularly painful time. So obviously a popular story, probably less so now because we're in a, I wouldn't say it's great, but we probably that $3 is that magic barrier where people just start to really panic a little bit. And that's what it was like in June, because we did a guide on the cheapest fuel. And just to give you an idea, we used the price tracking app Gaspy, Gaspy. And just to give you an idea, what are we paying now? Like at $2, $62, $72, $80, give or take?
Yeah, but minus a portion of the excise tax, is that right?
25 cents,
Yeah.
yes. So back then in June, just to give us some perspective, the cheapest was $2.90 in Christchurch. Most expensive was $3.11 in Rotorua. So that's for the same sort of 91 octane fuel. I was in Australia last week, $1.60 near the airport.
Wow.
So the most expensive fuel is always near the airport where they like to sting you. So we are getting ripped off. This is just ridiculous, the fuel price in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Food and fuel, why is it so expensive when even with the exchange rate, Australian petrol still should be about $1.80, $1.90?
I don't know.
Tell me, Sam.
I literally don't know. And you know what's about to happen is we're hearing murmurings of the government starting to talk about how they can charge for electric vehicles as well. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Number 8 on the list. Study reveals most loved and hated car brands in New Zealand.
Yes, this was actually a global study done by a website called theclunkerjunker.com, who buy old crap cars basically, but they're not in New Zealand. But they did a global study using what they call sentiment AI, which sounds convincing, to track Twitter sentiment across different countries
Wow.
about certain brands.
Yeah.
The most, like Tesla was very much a mixed thing. It was the most liked in 21 countries. It was the most disliked in 16 countries. Likewise, Ferrari was the most liked in 10 countries and the most disliked in 18 countries.
Wow,
But in
really?
New Zealand, Kia was the most liked.
Wow.
We like our Kias. And the most disliked was the BMW, which, you know, I don't think is deserved, but
That's
they
an
do
old
have it.
chestnut.
That is an old
People
chestnut.
smashing BMW all
Yeah.
the time.
Totally.
And I also saw some recent research, because we didn't write that story, we kind of republished it, but I did see some research, and I think it was based on something like a really low number. So in support of BMW,
Yes.
it was like minimum of 40 Twitter followers. So
Yeah,
there's a few little
Okay.
anomalies in reports like that.
Yeah, we all
All
know.
of those things are pretty...
Well, to be honest, we all know that that title's held by Audi now. Sorry, I'm joking. Kind of not joking. Number 7, study finds EVs are more harmful to the environment than classic cars.
Says the person who used to own an Audi.
Yeah, you sold yours like a couple of years
Well,
ago.
only because the reputation was so terrible.
This is another old chestnut. People love seem to love anything that kind of gives EVs a bit of a bashing as well.
Yeah.
This was based on a study by, it was actually a UK company called Footman James. They're a classic car insurer, so that will give you a bit of a hint on the direction of the story.
Yeah.
It was just on the premise that classic cars are better for the environment than EVs. And that's because classic cars don't get driven very far, basically, just to boil it right down. The average mileage of a classic car in the UK, according to the study, is about 1,900 kilometres per year. So the argument is you shouldn't feel bad about owning and driving a classic car.
No.
Because the carbon footprint of an EV, to build it,
Yeah.
You know, okay, zero emissions driving, but it has a huge footprint to actually build the thing.
Yeah.
They calculated that you'd have to drive your EV for about 45 years to actually get it down to the level of running a classic car.
Yeah,
but
right.
it's based on the fact that people don't drive their classic cars very far.
No, but also based on the throwaway society. Like, if we actually looked after our things, then we would,
Yeah,
you
good
know,
point.
it's a fair point.
Good point.
Yeah, number 6 on the list, a collection of rare cars up for auction after owner was arrested for drug trafficking.
Yeah, that's right. So this was a story from the US, and it was really interesting, I think, just because of the lineup of cars that were impounded.
He was a
20
drug dealer with impeccable taste.
He was, yeah, well, with a lot of money. 27 rear vehicles, Toyota Supras, E46 BMW M3s, 17 Toyota Supras. So, you know, Mitsubishi Lancer Evos, Dean loves those, Nissan 350Zs, BMW M4, all sorts of cool things, an Acura Integra Type R Honda.
So he's just a Fast and Furious fan.
He is a Fast
really.
and Furious
Yeah.
guy, and obviously had taken to crime to fund his habit. But yeah, some very cool looking.
Like we
classic-
wouldn't all do the same.
That's such a good point.